Hakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov, Masechet Ketubot Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. If you remember, we just finished off by mentioning the entire concept of tzedakah with Nadimon Ben Gurion. We said that his daughter lost, right? She didn't have any money. She was collecting, if you remember, sorim, barley from the excrement of the animals. Rabbi Yochanan Zakai came and he asked her, why? What happened to all the money of the father and the father-in-law and all these things? And basically what happened? She went and she said, right? He comes and he says, she went and she said, right, what? The father didn't give enough tzedakah. I said, what do you mean he didn't give enough tzedakah? Yeah, he was giving tons of tzedakah. What? They brought a proof that when he used to come out of the house, he used to come and put out the wool all on the floor, and then the aniyim used to come and take that and use that for clothing, and that was considered tzedakah. So he answered two different answers. Number one, he was doing it for his own kavod. And when a person does tzedakah for his own kavod, it does not keep over him that at the end it's going to save him. That was the first answer in the Gemara. If you want, you can have a second answer. He didn't give enough tzedakah. What does it mean he didn't give enough tzedakah? Like, even if you give tzedakah, if you don't give enough tzedakah, remember, where does tzedakah go? Akah goes tzedakah, remember, right? What does that mean? So what happens if a person doesn't give enough tzedakah? He says, what does that mean? According to the camel's weight, that goes a burden, which means that for him, he had to give much more, right? It was actually very, very well known that the Reichmans, like what happened was that all of a sudden they went down and they went to Rav Shach and they told them, they went to Rav, what happened?
I was just thinking about that.
I think of that. So they went to Rav Shach, they told Rav Shach, he went and he said the Ma'aseh. What Ma'aseh? You know how much they gave it? They went, listen, Rav Shach told them to check their Ma'aseh. They checked their Ma'aseh. They made a mistake in a calculation and they realized that they were missing a lot of money that they had to still give Masechet. So because of that, that's when they started, but what? They were on top of the world, you understand? And they lost. So this is where we're starting today. Tanya, we learned to the Braita. Amar Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Tzadok, says Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Tzadok, Ere benechama, which means the opposite. Remember, we're talking about like in euphemism, meaning that Sheulo yireh benechama. He says, Im lo reitiha shayta melaket tzorim ben talfei susim be'ako. Right? What does that mean? He says he wouldn't have been able to see the consolement of Yerushalayim, of Tzion, if he didn't see her that she was collecting barley from the horses, the shoes. How do you call the things from the shoes? The horseshoe, right? The hooves. Thank you. Right? The talfei susim be'ako. Karati alea, because then it means in the pasuk, mikra zeh the pasuk in Shir Shirim, im lo tedei lach hayafa banachim. What does that mean? If you're not going to give, right, to pay attention, Knesset Yisrael, which is hayafa banachim, to be shomer the Torah, seila beikvei atzon. What does that mean? You're going to go out to start looking for food, beikvei atzon. What does it mean beikvei atzon? From the hooves of the animals. Uri'et gediotaich, in order to be mefarnes gediotaich, the small kids, right? That means basically he's coming and saying, this is a pasuk. If Bnei Yisrael are not coming and keeping the Torah mitzvot, they would have to get the food from mamash, the hooves from nothing. Al tikre gediotaich, which is a kid is the son of the goat, but rather geviotaich, from your bodies, in order to come and to find food from that. So therefore, that's why he says, I wouldn't mamash. That was a pasuk. The pasuk is saying that. So Amar Shimon Rabbi Yochanan says Yochanan, right? Now we're going back to what we were talking about. How do we get into all this? We were talking about that we're evaluating the dunya, the dowry. She brings in food, let's say, for example, gold, silver, bill, whatever it is that she's bringing in. So it says here, she comes and she brings in blocks of gold. Yeah, Shaminoto, we actually come and we evaluate it. And now he has to accept the exact value without adding or subtracting. Because if you remember before we spoke about that, whatever the Khatan has, he adds to the value. Usually the Kala, whatever she brings in, usually they bring down the value by 20%, if you remember. Here now we're saying if it's blocks of gold, it's the same value. Meaning whatever she brought in, you evaluate it, and that's exactly what you read in the Ketubah. She brought in whatever amount of blocks of gold. So ask the Gemara, mately, we're going to ask the following question from Raita, Hazara Azahav. What does that mean? Gold is like utensils. Now we said by a utensil, right? So he says, my lover, we're not talking about kekelim shel kesef tepachte, or we're not talking about like utensils which is made out of silver, which actually you have to go down, which means that we take down the value. We don't take it at the face value. So says the Gemara, lo kekelim shel zahav de lo pachte, meaning If it's utensils of silver, it goes down in value. So for whatever she brings in, you take it down to 20%, and then that's what you're going to evaluate it at. However, though by gold, it stays at the same value. So ask the Gemara, if so, kekelav mibaile. Why did it say hazahav hareu kekelim? Because it's mashma, the zahav is like kelim. Kelim of what? Kelim of kesef. But if you're going to tell me hazahav, it's like kelim of zahav, right? It's like utensils of gold. You should have said hazahav harem kekelav, not kekelim. So the answer is the Gemara. Oh, then furthermore, Tanya, we learned in a Braita, zahav hareu kekelim. Zahav is like gold, right? It's like utensils. Dinare zahav harem kichsafim, and dinare zahav is like money. Now, if you remember, by the money, right, we did say, right, that he's actually going to come and he's going to accept it upon himself with adding on, but you have to add on a 50% value to it because it's cash. If they have a minhag not to change it, right? So then right? So then you're going to evaluate it, and it's going to be the exact same value without adding on an additional value, because then you're not making money off of it. Meaning, if she's bringing in cash, you could come and you could make an investment. If she's bringing in a type of a currency that you can't even change it, so therefore, what does it help? Okay, so you have money that you can put in the bank, but you can't make money off of it. So you're not going to add on, right, to the investment. Okay, Rabban Shimon Gamliel. So says the Gemara, Rashbag, Rabban Shimon Gamliel. Ahai. On which case is he going on? On which case is he going? The words on Tanakama, which is Miyuchas to Shimon Gamliel, right? What's he going on? Ilema Seifa. If you're going to tell me that he's going on the Seifa, which means that dinare zahav is like money. So therefore, he's coming in and saying that it's only going to be like money only if they actually change it. So Mikal Tanakama Savar Afilim Mikon Shinagu Shalom Lefortan. Right? So what? He says that Tanakama holds that even in a place that minhag not to change it, Hanonafke, they don't change it. So what does it help you then? Elalav, but rather it goes on the Reisha. What does that mean? The words of Rashbag is going on the Reisha. This is what it means to say. Zahav hareu kekelim. Gold is like utensils. My kelim. What kelim? What type of utensils? So he says, le kelim shel kesef. We're talking about kelim of kesef. Rashbag says, hareu kedinarim shel zahav b'makom shenagu shelo l'patan. No. He says, when you're going to come, it's like dinarim of zahav in a minhag, a place of minhag, that you don't change it. And therefore, the chatan is going to come and evaluate it exactly like the value. You're not going to add on to it, but it's exactly like the value. So according to this explanation then, Tanakama holds that gold is like lechesef, which means that the chatan has to take off a fifth, right? 20%, and that's the value, right? So therefore, how does Rabbi Yochanan come in and say that zahav is the exact same value as normal zahav, meaning you take it at face value? Remember, all these things are l'chal ma'aseh, because many times he used to bring in to the wedding, right, different utensils, and now you have to evaluate that, right? Imagine, for example, chalabim have a minhag, that's by their engagement, they come and they start bringing jewelry and all these things, no? And they start putting it. So imagine right now, she comes and she brings in a fortune, right, of dowry. And now the chatan is going to come and he's going to say, how much did I accept for the dunya? $5,000. They're going to say, I don't need. It's not true, right? She brought in much more, right? You're not going to start writing down that she only brought in 5,000. So who's going to evaluate it? Okay, so they come, they bring a person, he's going to evaluate it. But according to the valuation, that's what they're going to write on the ketubah. So therefore, the appraisal. So they have to actually come and check. Okay, does it go up in value, down in value? So now we're explaining what goes up in value, what is face value, all these things.
But how do you have?
No, right? Leolam really be'emet, Rashbag was going on the seifa. And we're talking about that you could change the money, but only which means that not everybody changes the money. Only certain people. Again, this is what they're arguing with. More savar, one of them holds, given the nafke, since they're coming and they're taking it out, that they come and they're going to add on the half of it. So basically like this. If right now you could come and you could change it, so therefore for sure you would have to add on 50% to its value. You come, it's cash, you can make money, right? But if right now what happens is that you don't have that, so therefore, which means it's only al-dachak. So one of them holds you still add on the 50%. The other one holds no, face value. Why? Because it's difficult to find a money changer and to do all these things. And not everybody does it. So because of that, it's different halachot. Okay, another answer. If you want, you can answer. The entire thing is Rashbag. It's lacking part of it. This is what it means to say. Zahav hareu kekelim. Gold, pieces of gold, is like utensils of gold. That it's exactly the value of what it is. Dinare zahav, dinari, which is money of zahav, haren kiksafim, it's money, which means you have to add on 50% to its value, 50. But medva, one of these words, only in a place where they have a minhag that they could cash it in any place. But if they have a minhag that they don't cash it, so then it's only the face value. These are the words of Shalom. Because the Rashbag says in a place where they have a minhag not to be portan, so therefore they're going to come and evaluate it, and it's going to be exactly at the face value. Nevertheless, still ask the Gemara. At the end of the day, it should still be written that it's like it's utensils, like kelim of zahav. So answers the Gemara, Kasha, you're right. It is a good question because it should have said kikelav, meaning the blocks of gold are like kikelav. That's what it should have said, but it didn't say it. Ibait ema, or if you can answer, hacham means what are we dealing with? Bedava pricha. We're talking about small little tiny pieces of gold, right? That basically like chalakim tanim. So Ravashi comes and he says, or what are we dealing with? So therefore, that's why he's saying it's like keli chesed because they depreciate in value. It's not a big block. It's like small little tiny. It's like, for example, you go to a money change in Israel, right? You give them $100 bill, even though nowadays in banks you can't do $100 bills anymore. There's too much counterfeits. You could only do 20s. Something incredible. I never realized that. This year I just realized that. When you go to Israel and you want to change money, if you go to the bank, right, the doa, you can't change $100 bills. You could only change 20s. If you go to regular change, there you go. Yeah, but there's too much counter. One second. However, though, what happens though is that if you're going to come and you're going to change, right? In the olden days, I remember if you were going to change $100 bills, you got one price. You come in and give them, listen, I'm giving you 10s and 20s. He used to give you a different price, a lower price. Why? Yeah, of course, because it wasn't the same. You understand? Like for them nowadays, it depends where you're changing it. You understand? That's what it is. Rashi comes and he gives another answer. What are we done? We're talking about zahav tachun dak, which means he made it like into a powder. So therefore, for sure, part of it is going to go libut. So because of that, it's like kli chesed. Amar Rabbi Yanai says Rabbi Yanai besamim shel antochia, besamim of antochia. That means the woman comes and she brings in besamim haren kiksafim. It's like money also. Okay, so Amar Mishwomer Nachmeni Amar Rabbi Yonatan gimalim shel Aravia, right? Gimalim shel Aravia. The woman will actually come and take a profit from it, which means she actually gets a half of the extra, like you have to evaluate it for a half extra and you put it on. Samar of Papi says, Hani tutove de begadim, the clothing that she has for the Nedunya, Ishagova Parnamehem. She's also going to take an extra half on it. Right? Amar of Papi says, Hani sake de Rodia, Vashli dim kumchanya, these sakim in the city of Rodia and Chavalim and ropes of the city of Kamchonia, also Yishagova Parnamehem. She's going to collect half from it. Okay. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Mirei Shavamina, at the beginning I used to say, these wallets, right, of Mechuza, also Yishagova Parnamehem. She's also going to take an extra Tosefet on it. Remember, whenever we're talking about a Tosefet, you take the value, you add a half, and then that's what she's bringing in. My time on what's reasoning is because they are actually, it's like they're using it to make sure that they're going to pay back the ketubah, or they're going to pay back debts. So therefore he says, that's what he says. Kevin the chazai the shakli unafki. But once we come and we see that people are coming, they're collecting it. And immediately when they find land, they come and they buy it with the money that they have in their hands. So then we're going to say that we're going to look at it that it's like mamash kaneke kesef, but it's on karka. And therefore it's not going to be mishubad for the ketubah, and a woman cannot collect it from that. Okay? Mishnah on Samech Zayin Amud Aleph. Hamasiya bito stam. If a person comes and he gets his daughter married, and he does not explain, he does not explicitly say how much is he giving, for what? For a nedunya. Lo yivchol la me-50 zuz. He's not going to give her less than 50 zuz. Pasak lach nisa aruma. What happens if he went and he said, no, he's going to give her without anything? Mamash. Right? Aruma, as if to say that he's not giving her clothing at all. And the husband agrees. Lo yomar abal cannot say, when she comes into my house, I'm going to cover her, not beforehand. He has to cover her when she's still in the father's house, right? Why? Because what? She's going to come in without anything, meaning the father's not giving her nothing. So he has to give her clothing so he could come to her house. to his house, and then he'll start giving her clothing. The same that they're going to give, they're going to get married yitoma. They cannot give her less than 50 zuz for an indunya. That means the dowry has to be 50 zuz. And if there's more, you give her according to her kavod. Why? Because at the end of the day, you have to make sure that she has a good dowry. Right? This is a yitoma. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara. Amar Abaye says, 50 zuz pshite. When we're talking about 50 zuz, we're talking about zuzeh medina, not zuzim tsurim. Right? Because each zuz suri is actually 8 zuzim pshutim. It's actually times 8. So we're talking about, right, just like the dollar. There's American dollar, Canadian dollar, and Australian dollar. And each one has a completely different value. You understand? The American value is worth much more than the Canadian. I don't remember the difference between the Canadian and Australian. I don't know about that, but you would have to check. Okay? Mimai. He said, so Amar Abaye says, 50 zuz, we're talking about pshute. So it's not 8 times the amount. Mimai, how do we know? Since we said in the Seifa, im yesh bakis mefarnesin ota, then lefik voda, that if you have more money in the tzedakah box, right? Meaning the tzedakah, so you would give her more. And we said, what's the keys? Amarach Barachva says, Anifish tzedakah. The tzedakah box. V'yisal kadan, if you're going to tell me 50 zuz mamash, im yesh bakis coming, so how much are you going to give her more? So elashma mina, we're talking about 50 zuz pshute. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, we went to the Braita. Yatom yitoma sheba'u liparnes. Well, if you have a yatom and yitoma, they both come to you to get parnasah. Who are you supposed to give first? Okay, so mefarnesin et yitoma, ve'achar כך mefarnesin et yitom. First you give to the yitoma, the girl, and then the boy, because the zilzul. Mipnei sha'ish darko lachzor al p'tachim, and isha darko lachzor al p'tachim, which means that the boys, they would come and they would collect tzedakah. They could do it, but for a woman to do it, it's much less kavod. Yatom v'yitoma. When it's to do with yatom v'yitoma, samech zayin mubet 67b. Shebauli said that come to get married, Masina Tiyitoma, the same thing, the Yitoma comes first. How come Masina Tiyitoma and afterwards the Yitom? Why? Because there's more busha for a woman that she cannot get married than a man. Meaning a woman, she's afraid, she's not going to get married. You see it even until today, you know, with the Shidu crisis and everything. For a woman not to get married, it's much more than it's going to. Okay. We learned in the Braita. Yatom sheba lisa soflin lo bayit. Do you know that when Yatom comes to get married, we're going to first rent him a house. Matzilo mitav, we're going to give him, right, a bed and all the things that they need. And then we're going to give him a woman. That means before getting him married, we first make sure that they rented the house, they get all the, and then they get him the wife. It says in Pasuk, Demachsoro is a bayit, is a house. Asher yechsar is a mitav shulchan, the bed and the table. Lo is the woman. So the law is a woman. So therefore, first of all, you have to rent him a house. You give him the tables and the beds and everything, and then you come and you give him the woman. You're obligated to give him parnasah. That means you have to give him just parnasah, but not to make him rich. What does that mean? Even if he needs a sus, right, a horse to ride, or an evet to run in front of him, which means that he was an ashir gadol. He took Hillel took Anani ben Tovim. He took a susi kol ve'eved lutz fanav. Pam chal lo matza eved lutz fanav. Ve'ratz fanav shlo. He himself ran in front of him, which means that when a rich person comes and he becomes poor, you still have to help them. Why do you have to help them? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to come and you're going to help them, you have to help them according to their kavod. So that is part of the tzedakah. Meaning the mitzvah of tzedakah is that you have to give them according to their kavod.
But if you have a chance of helping a rich or somebody that's
There was a story with the people of Anshe Galil, Ha'elyon, that they went and they took Ani ben Tovim in Sapori from Sori, litra basar. They used to give him basar, mamash, meat every single day. You could say, Iowa, what do you need meat? Take chicken, take this, that. No. Meat. Every single day they were giving the meat. Litra basar. What's a chidush? What's a chidush? Ravuna says, litra basar mishelofot. Like one of them says it's a litra basar of ofot. Litra basar mamash meat and not chicken. Rashi says, it was a very, very small village. And every single day they used to lose an entire animal. Meaning, in order to give them a litra basar, they had to do shechita and do that. So imagine, the entire animal went to waste, just so that way they should give them their tzedakah, what they needed of the litra basar. There was somebody that came from Nechemia. When he told him, what do you usually? So there was an ani. He came in front of Nechemia. He asked for parnasah. He says, what do you usually? He says, I eat fatty meat, good meat, like a rib, ribeye, big piece of, and what with nice wine, yain yashan, aged wine. He says, what? Nehemiah comes and he tells him, do you want to eat with me lentils? I've got lentils. You want to eat with me lentils? He ate lentils and he died. The guy dropped dead. Right? The ani. Amar oy lo lazeh sharago Nehemiah. Woe to me. Right? Why? Because Nehemiah killed him. And he was saying he killed him. Why was he giving him adashin instead of giving him something which he used to eat? So says the Gemara, Adrabah. Oy lo Nehemiah. What are you talking about? Woe to Nehemiah that he killed him. So he says, Ela iu de lo ibaile lefanu kenafshe kulai. No, he says no. But the ani himself should have done it, that he shouldn't be mefaneket etzmo. Meaning that if the ani already knows that now he's an ani, meaning before when he was rich, he could eat meat every single day. But now if the guy already realizes that he's becoming poor, he shouldn't be mefaneket etzmo, that he only needs to eat meat, because not always is he going to get it. And then it's going to be problems, you understand? So he should have, lowered the levels so that way, he could have done that. So that's what he's saying here. Somebody came in front of Rava. Amalo, he said, Mata, so what do you eat? Amalo, tarnegole petuma v'yaineshan. Tarnegolet. He said, rooster. Petuma, fattened, v'yaineshan. Amale, lo chashadod, what? You're not choshesh for the tzibur. I'm saying at the end of the day, the tzibur cannot sustain you forever. Amale, he says, Atimidu. He says, what, I'm eating from you? Midrachmanaka, I'm eating from Hashem. The Tanina was already learned in the Braita. Beitam lo ne'emar. It doesn't say beitam, ela beito. Beito is b'lashon yachid. Melamed shekol echad ve'echad noten lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu parnasato beito. Every person HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him the parnasah in his proper time. Right? You learn Daf Yomi, you get parnasah. Yeah? So he comes and he says, Adehach yata achte de Rabba. So the sister of Rabba came, she didn't see him for Tleisar Shane, for 13 years. The Atiel, she brought him a Tarnegole Petuma v'yayin yishan. She brought him a Tarnegole. Amar Maidekama, right? He says, what's going on now? Right? What's going on? Yeah, Amar Lei, he went and he told the Ani, Na'aneti lecha, right? I spoke to you too much. Boom, echol, come and eat. What does that mean? Rava saw with his own eyes that the guy was right. Because since he said, what? I'm not eating from you, I'm eating from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Why? Because Baruch Hu gives to every single person. Right? So Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. In law, right, because think about it. The sister never came for 13 years. She happened to come at Bidyuk when the Ani is there. And what does she bring? Exactly what the Ani eats. So Rabba realized, you're right, I spoke too much. Come and eat. Here you have your Tanegole V'tuma, Yain Yashan. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. In law, what happens if a person does not have parnasah, but he doesn't want to take from tzedakah? No, we give it to him as a loan. Then we come and we change it to a present, meaning we don't ask it for him back. These are the words that are being made. They give it to him as a present, and then they come and they give it to him as a loan. Okay? So says the Gemara, you're giving it a present? He's not going to take it. If he doesn't want to take tzedakah, he's not going to take it as a present. So Rava says, no, you try to give it to him like a present, which does mean that means if he doesn't want to take it as a lava, so we try to do it as a present. So therefore, that he'll take it. Says the Gemara, Rava says, so what happens if the guy has money, but he doesn't want to use his own money? Right? That means he has his own money. He doesn't want to use it. He wants to collect money from the tzedakah. So what's going on over here? So here it says not that he wants to get from tzedakah. He says he wants to get from tzedakah, meaning he doesn't want to use it. He doesn't want to touch his money. So notrim lo shum matana. They give it to him as a present. They chosim it and then they take him back. That means they're going to take the money back from him. Okay. So Amar Rav Papa says la'achar mita. When is it exactly? Sorry, chosim ifirmenu tu lo shakil. If you're going to take it back from him, he'll never take it. Meaning, if you're going to take the money back from him, he won't use it. So he says no. La'achar mita, after death, they come and they take all the money. Meaning, whatever he leaves over, that's when they're going to come. They're going to collect everything. Shimon says, Yesh lo v'eno notzi lipanes. What happens if he's got money and he doesn't want to take it from himself, and they don't give him nothing? En lo v'eno, but if he doesn't have money, he doesn't want to take from tzedakah. Omnim lo, they come and they say, bring a collateral and take your loan. Meaning he really thinks it's a loan. So because they're asking for a collateral, really they're going to give it to him as a present. We learned in the Braita, what is havet? A person that alveh, right? Alveh, which means that he doesn't have, right? So they give it to him as a lava. And then they're going to give it to him as a matana. Yesh lo, right? Tavitenu. What is talvitenu? They have to lend him. A person that has the money, right? But what? But he doesn't want to be mitpanes from himself. So we give it to him as a matana. Then we take it back after mitad. Even Rabbi Yehuda, these words are Rabbi Yehuda. the Chachamim argue and they say, Yeshlo, right? If he does have money, he doesn't want to use his own money, and he's we don't even pay attention. So what does it mean tavitenu? Which means, why does it say havet tavitenu? Sometimes we say dibrat Torah k'lashon adam, which means sometimes a person will use a double expression for the same thing. And other times we say, no. Each word was there to teach you something different. So according to the Shita, when it says tavitenu, havet tavitenu, it's the same lashon, right? Dibrat Torah k'lashon adam. Mor Ukva is a very famous story. Yeah. Mor Ukva, one of the most famous stories. Remember the story, yeah? Mor Ukva ve'aniya b'shvivuteh. There was an ani in his vicinity, in his neighborhood. They used to always throw into his door, like into the hole inside of his door in the house. He used to throw inside 4 zuz in order that the ani doesn't see who it is that's throwing. One day the ani comes and he says, you know what? I want to see who's doing this favor to me. Who's the one that's throwing this money to me? That day, what happened was he was late in the Bet Midrash. So the wife came with him, meaning that usually he used to do it, and this time he was late. Yeah, so what happened? The wife comes to see where is he. So he comes. Once all of a sudden the ani comes and he sees that the dasha is coming and changing, that means he basically saw that somebody's moving. He had a motion detector. Yeah. So what happens? He tried opening up the door to run outside to see who it is. What happened? They both ran. Because now Mor Ukva went with his wife. Before, Mor Ukva would have been by himself. Now he went running with his wife. They went into a tanur, right, that was full of fire. Right? That means, imagine, they went into a furnace, right, that was inside the wall, right, into the oven. They went into the oven. The feet of Mor Ukva were burning. Amra ledvitu, the wife comes and she tells him, put your feet on my feet. Right? Why? Because my feet are not burning. So Chalash Dateh, he was upset. He says, how could it be that my wife is a bigger tzaddik than me, that her feet are not burning and my feet are burning? What's going on here? Amra le, she came and she answered him. This is the wife telling him. Ana shchichna begave de beta. Yeah? What happens? I'm always at home. Umikarva ahanyati. And therefore, since mikarva, what does that mean? I'm bringing it towards a big mikarev dana, which means when you come and you give it, what do you give? You give money. Well, the money has to buy bread. I'm giving the bread itself. I'm being mikarev dana. So because of that, I get more of a reward. So my kulei, what's going on? Why were they running away? What's going on? The Amar Morzuta Batuvia Marav says Morzuta Batuvia, the name of Rav Amilam, some say Ravuna Mara, Rabbi Zaman Shimon Chatzida, Amilam, some say Yocharam Shumam Yochai, Noach La Adam, Shim Sorat Swon Tokif Shana Eshel Gim Pnei Ochavim. It's better to throw yourself into a fiery furnace and not to embarrass somebody publicly. Menalan, how do you know that? From Tamar, Tichtiv Him Mutzet, Vishal Chalachim, which means she was being taken out to be killed. And what happened when she was being taken out to be killed? She went and she was going to be killed, and it didn't matter. Why? She wasn't going to be embarrassing her father-in-law. But Ukva, so Ukva, he used to give 400 zuz every Erev Kippur to somebody, right? Yom Achad Shadrinu ni'aleh biyad bereh. So it happened once that he sent the money in the hands of his son. Ata amarle. So all of a sudden what happens is he comes and he says, Lo tzarich, he doesn't need the money. Amar, he says, Mechazit, what did you see? So Chazai de kamzalfi leuyayin yashan. So he saw that what happened was that he was being mizalef yain yashan, old wine. Amar, he says, Mefanki Quran. He says, look, you know what the zanke is? They used to put wine on the floor and they used to give it a good smell and dust wouldn't come up. They used to have dirt floors. So he used to put wine on the floor. So he comes and he says, what? He's using this, he's using yain yashan. You know, the guy has a lot of money. You know, you're giving him tzedakah, but he's got money in order to use old wine instead of using, new wine in order to put on the floor. What's going on? So he says, I finu shadinu nale. So Mor Ukva went and he said, wow, that's what happened. He gave double. He gave the guy double, right? You understand what happened? That means he went and said, this is what he's doing. You have to give him double. Why? Because this is what he needed. So kikanach nafshe, when he passed away, right? Amar, Mor Ukva said, bring me the cheshmonot of tzedakah. Ashkafta v'ketibe was written, Shivat alfei dinar sinakeh, 7,000 dinarim of Medinat Sin. Amar, of like China, yeah? Amar, he said, Zvadai kalila v'orcha rechikta. Tzedakah, I prepared for myself, right? That I'm going to go out, that I have a good place. He went and he spent half of his money. That means he went and he said, he wanted to find out. He said, boom, he spent half the money. So, how did he do this? Rabbi Eli comes and he says, they went and they instituted that if you're going to come and you're going to spend, don't spend more than 20%. Answers the Gemara, that's only if you're alive. Meaning, if a person's alive, don't give more than 20%. Why? Then he's going to all of a sudden lose all his properties, and then he's going to need tzedakah himself. But after death, let Lambat, person can give anything that he wants. And that's what he did. He gave half his properties away. You understand? Okay, next. Rabbi Abba used to tie the zuzim in his sudar, and he used to throw it behind him. And therefore, there was mamzim that's more for them, which means he used to purposely come and throw the money behind him so he wouldn't see who was collecting the money. Okay, and Rabbi Abba would come and try to, to see that the Ramaim would not come and start, make themselves like Aniyim and then take the money. And he used to make sure that it was only Be'emet Aniyim that were coming collecting money and not whoever it was. Rabbi Chanina right? So there was an Aniyah Echad, he used to give 4 zuz every Erev Shabbat. Once he gave it to in the hands of his wife. She went and she said, he doesn't need it. She says, what did you see? She went and she heard people telling, what do you eat? So he said, with my pot of kesef or zahav, right? So he comes and he says, look, you have to always say thank you to the cheaters. Why? Because of them. If it wasn't them, then we would be sitting. Meaning we actually have to be machzik tova to these people that are cheating, because if not, then we would have a problem. Later we continue tomorrow.